Oh, hey there. I'm Mr. C, and this is today's lesson where I'm going to teach you comparing fractions on a whole different level. We already know how to read fractions, we already know how to picture them in our heads, we can even plot them on a number line. If you can't do those things, you should learn that before you watch this video. Because now we're going to start comparing them at a whole different level. Okay? Now you can go ahead and ask me, Mr. C, why on earth would I want to do this? This is crazy. I thought I knew everything there was to know about fractions. It's not true. You need to learn about equivalent fractions. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to take it to the next level with equivalent fractions. And then we're going to be closer and closer to doing like complicated addition and subtraction and multiplication and division even with fractions. Okay? So we're going to continue that work. We're just starting with fractions. All right, you need to know this stuff if you want to get any further. You don't want to be learning the same thing about fractions all year, right? Okay, so let's get going. Now, before I get started, I want to do a quick plug. If you're not learning your multiplication tables right now, you better start. Because I'm going to teach you kind of the slow way of finding equivalent fractions and the slow way of comparing fractions. But if you know your multiplication facts all the way up to 144, right? All your 1s through 12s, and your division facts all the way down, you're going to be so much faster at this, and I'm going to teach you a way better way to do it. But let's start with this, right? It's important that we can think about it first. So here we go. All right, let's bring back some old buddies. I'm bringing back my cake and my number line from 0 to 1, because we're going to be representing fractions in both of these so that we can compare them. And since we're comparing, well, we're going to pick two different fractions. We're going to do it twice. Okay, I'm going to start out easy just so you kind of see what's going on here. We're going to compare the fractions 1/3 and 1/6. All right, so we're going to do 1/3 up at the top and 1/6 at the bottom. Ready? 1/3 goes like this. Remember, we got to cut it into 3 equal pieces. Pretty close to equal, close enough for me. And we're going to eat one of them. Okay, so let's pretend like we eat this 1/3 over here. All right, this is the piece that we eat. Let's plot it on the number line as well. So let's see if we can't cut it into just about the same proportions. Yeah, here we go, look. Okay, these are about thirds. All these line segments are about the same. If it helps, I'll put the points at the end. I'll even put the little dashes at the end, all right? We got one segment, two segments, three segments. They're all about the same size. 1/3 is 1/3 of the way over. Felt awkward saying it that way, but it's absolutely true. 1/3. There it is, right there at that point. Okay? And then, so we've got our models. We got our number line. Let's do it down here too. Now we need to do 1/6 on these bottom two. Okay? So 1/6, it's a little more complicated. Okay, 6. Let's cut it in half this way. Then I'm going to cut it into thirds beyond that. That's pretty close. Imagine imagine I didn't do that little bump there. These would be about the same size, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Equal pieces. So we have 1/6. Let's pick a sixth. Look, I'll even pick the big one here. Pretend like it's the same size though, right? 1/6 here. And then let's do our number line. So let's see, we got to cut it into 6 equal pieces. It's an even number, so I always start by cutting it in half and then cutting these ones into 3. If you practice this for a while, you'll be able to do it. For now, you can kind of just watch me do it and you can visualize it in your head. So here's my number line. I've cut it into sixths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plot my point 1/6 of the way across. There it is. And I'm going to label it 1/6. Okay? You should already know how to do this. This is just a refresher, right? Better be. Okay? What's larger? What's greater? 1/3 or 1/6? That's a no-brainer. Come on, you know this one. It's 1/3. Just follow the rule, right? The smaller the denominator, the larger the piece. You either have 1/3 of a bigger piece or 1/6, a smaller piece. Right? 1/3. It's bigger. Easy. Boom. Moving right on. Let's do this again with something that you might not know right off the bat. Here's one for you. What do you think is larger? 1/4 or 3/8? I don't know, Mr. C. Eighths are smaller, but there's 3 of them. Fourths are bigger, but there's only 1. Well, let's use these models and these number lines to maybe figure it out, right? You can kind of do it. If you cut it well, you have to be very careful when you're doing it this way. I'm going to start with the 4th. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, we got 1/4 right here. Let's take that fourth, that quadrant. I'm gonna do it on the number line too, just so we have two models to look at. Okay, so let's see. I've cut this number line into fourths now. 3, 4, and here is where I come across my first fourth. 1/4. Okay, that's how far it is along the number line. All right, now let's do 3/8. Okay, well, I know a cool way to do eighths that I can teach you if you haven't already figured out a cool way to do it yourself. Cut it into fourths, then I cut the corners. Look at that. Yeah? Because you're technically going to wind up with 8 equal-sized pieces. The better of an artist you are, the more equal you can make them. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's count and make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are they equal sizes? Yeah, that's equal. All right, so we're going to eat how many of them? 3. So let's see, this one, let's see. So I'm just going to count them off. 1, 2, 3. For a total fraction of 3/8, right? I'll write it over here just so we can see it. And now let's cut this number line into eighths. Okay, I start with fourths. And then I can separate those in half to make eighths. Okay, I made my number line. Now you can do it slower when you're first learning to create these. Make it be nice and slow so that you can create a number line that's a nice equal size. But the more you do it, the faster you're going to get. One day you're going to be fast like me. You're going to be awesome. Here we go. So 3/8. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That's where we're going to plot our point. 3/8. So we're either going to eat this much cake or travel our plot point this far along our number line and make the comparisons. What do you see? What looks greater? 1/4 or 3/8? I think it's more obvious with the cake, right? Like I can look at this and be like, okay, well that's, okay. Well look, there's a fourth right in there. And look, there's this whole extra piece down here. Like look, that just looks bigger, doesn't it? Those 3 pieces together? I think it does. And even on the number line, you can kind of see it, right? Here's your 3/8. It kind of comes up, it would be right about there, right? So I can see it, right? The cake thing really helped me. I don't know what helped you the most, but I can see 3/8 is greater. Alligator's going to eat that side of the equation. All right, we're going to do that one more time. Watch this one. Let's do 1/2 2/4. Okay, let's start with the 1/2. Cut her in half. Well, there it is. 1/2, right over here. Let's cut this number line in half. 1/2. Oops, let's make my plot point. Good. There's 1/2, right? Halfway down the number line to 1. This is 1/2 of a cake. These fractions represent the same total. Let's do 2/4. Cut this into 4. Okay. And let's see, 1/4, and then another 4th. Okay. And I can do the same thing here with this number line. Let's see, there's my first 2/4, and there's my next 2/4. Let's count 2/4 down the line. 1, 2. 2/4. Labeled it right there. Now let's look, let's compare. Which one's further along the line? That's hard to tell. Okay, well let's look at the cakes, and let's see which one looks like it's a bigger piece of cake. That looks the same. Because guess what? It is. We just created an equivalent fraction. Look, what would you rather have? 1/2 of a cake or 2/4 of a cake? They're the same amount. And you can even see it when I created it. When I created these fourths, I cut the cake in half. And then I cut the 2 halves in half. But if you take 2 of them, I'm just taking the original half that I made. These fractions are equal. They are equivalent. I can see it, right? On the number line, I think it's super easy, right? I can see it. I am clearly halfway down. Here, 2/4, 1/2, they're exactly the same. That's kind of difficult to grasp as the fractions get bigger, right? I should say, as the digits get larger in the fractions, right? 1/2 and 2/4, you can see it, you can trace it. When you start talking like 8/16, well, that's going to be harder to do accurately when you're creating these models, which is why I'm telling you now, you got to learn how to multiply and divide all the way up to 144 and all the way back down to 1. Okay? It's going to help you make these equivalent fractions easier. For now, you can use these models, right, to figure out which one's larger, or maybe they're the same. Maybe they look the same, maybe they are the same. But the only way to know for absolute sure is to use multiplication and division. So you're going to have to learn it, right? These area model or these models, these number line comparisons, they only get you so far. You're going to practice it. You're going to work with it. It's going to help you to form that in your head. But no, you're going to have to use multiplication and division to get really good at comparing fractions. Okay? All right, so let's go over this one more time. I know I've been keeping you for a while. What did we learn? Well, using number lines and models can help us to compare fractions. We just did it 3 times. Right? We found fractions that were larger than the others, and we found fractions that were equivalent, that were equal, which is also a comparison. But sometimes it's just not going to be good enough, right? I haven't shown you any really tough ones yet, but I'm going to challenge you to do one in this try it section right here that you are probably not going to be able to create a model for. I challenge you. Maybe you can. Maybe you can overcome that. All right, this is what I want you to do. Compare the following fractions. Okay, let's do 2/10 and 1/3. Compare those two. Which one's larger? And then I'm gonna give you one more. I'm gonna give you my favorite one. 2/7 or 1/4. Try that one. See how you do. All right, see which, compare the two, see if you can use those models that we have to figure out which one is larger or which one is greater, which one's less. Submit your answers to me if I'm your teacher. If not, your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, an older brother or sister, some other math wizard that you may know. See if you can't practice this because it's going to be oh so important as we move forward to be able to do this. All right, good luck, and I will see you in our next lesson.